I think it's starting up. Yeah, we're live on YouTube. Hey guys, just give us a minute. We'll wait for a minute for people to join and then we'll start.
Hi everyone. So Mahesh, today we want to focus on questions related to summer internships. So if you have any questions regarding that, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll take all CT related questions in our next live or our next doubt solving session. Chaitanya, we cannot answer any, we can't reveal our stipend details. So that's against the college policy. So no details about that.
So I think you can start. We'll just start off with a brief introduction of what the session is going to be over here. Basically, Aditya's interned at Marico, I interned at JB Morgan, and the others at the top percentile interned at PwC, PepsiCo, and Geo. So we have a varied experience. We've done it in consulting, finance, marketing, all of it, including sales, marketing, sales, everything. So our entire idea of doing this was just to shed some light on how it works, what you require, a little bit about how you should be focusing, what you should be focusing on in your CV, or how you should be preparing your answers, etc. Lots of colleges will be going through the summers, or even you next year will be going through your summers if you're still an aspirant. But one thing that we want to drive through in this session is that summer internship is not the end of it. At the same time, you should prepare from now for the summers. Keep that mindset, because it's not, you are doing the MBA so that you get through to a better, or you learn a lot of skills, but also because you get a good job in the end. So it's the entire process, and we just wanted to shed a little light on what it takes to go there. And this is a very general session. So the first session that we're keeping on the entire summer internship thing is just a very general session. We'll be having a few more sessions on this. Aditya, you can go over the details on what the sessions are going to be like.
Yeah. So firstly, again, talking about the TTV team and where we've done our summers. So I interned with Marico, an FMCG company, and I was part of the sales and marketing team. And I worked at JP Morgan in finance. Harsh and Ankit, PwC, they were working in consulting. Vidhan was again working with Pepsi, FMCG, sales and marketing, and Shreekanth was with Geo, strategy and business development. So we are all going to come and talk about firstly our preparation, how we prepared, how we got in, and also our experiences in these companies, which were great to summarize. And we are going to have domain specific sessions. So we're going to have one session for consulting, mostly going to be taken by Ankit and Harsh. Maybe some others could also join because we all prepared for consulting. Anay and Ankit will probably take up the session on finance. Very, very pro finance guys here. So they're going to help you a lot. And then me, Vidhan, Shreekanth might take up the session on FMCG and sales and marketing. So that's how it's going to be like. We would like to hear from you guys what all you need in the sessions, because people who are in MBA colleges right now pursuing the MBA, they might have already gotten the companies or been placed. So what all you need from this point on, how to do well in the summers is also a separate topic. So do let us know what exactly you want from us, what all you want covered, and we'll take it up in detail in these sessions.
And another thing that I just wanted to point out, in case you guys haven't seen the JBIMS placement report, it's you can find it online out there. You can tell them more in detail about that. It's really good. So we encourage you, if you want motivation, look at the placement report.
Yeah. So the placement report is not out yet, but some media publications, JBIMS has released a statement over there. So we can share that also. But again, like today's agenda, summer internships, 65, 66 people have joined for that. So we'll keep the session focused on that. And we'll start answering questions now.
Right. So again, whatever details we cannot reveal too much. If it's confidentially, can't reveal it. So those questions you're going to avoid, but everything else you'll be able to answer. Anything on prepper, etc. Everything is there. So one that we get the most is how to get summer internship if your ACADS are low. Now this kind of you can merge this question with something like what do companies look at in your profile? Like what do they generally look at? So every company has a very varied outlook on what they are seeing in a profile in a candidate. Some companies only look at academics. Some companies look at what they have overall. It depends on each and every role. So, for example, if you look at JP Morgan, maybe for one role they're focused only on people who have CFAs. Maybe for something else they look at people who have high academics. It changes for every role. You cannot say for certain what they're going to select in each and every role. But in general, higher academics is good, but it does not mean that if you have low academics, it's going to be a huge problem. It depends on the overall profile more than just one part of it. So the main idea is that you have to keep as balanced a profile as possible. If you decide that you want to do finance, or if you decided you want to do marketing, add that to your profile from now, so that later on when you are applying for these roles, companies realize that this is useful to them. Just think about why a company should hire you. Think about why they should look at your profile and think, okay, this guy or this girl is going to do good for us. We should probably take him or her for the next round. What is that? What is the factor that's going to drive that? It's going to be an overall profile, good communication skills, and something that they like about you. That's the main idea. Aditya, anything you want to add here?
Yeah, so low ACADS, I think you can extrapolate this question to just if your profile is not that strong. So your past, whatever's done is done, you can't change it. What you can do from now on to build a strong profile. So in our experience, in our opinion, see, firstly, you have to forget what you've done. Past is done, ACADS are set, 10, 12, whatever grad score is set. So you can't do anything about that. So firstly, don't waste time worrying about that. Now, what you have to do is improve your profile. Obviously, if you think it's not strong enough, next logical step is to improve it. Now, what all you can do. Now, we'll be talking about this in our sessions, but in general, to improve your profile from this point on, you can do certifications. For finance, obviously, you have professional certifications that add a lot of value, FRM, CFA. And I can add on to that. In marketing, you don't have professional certification as such, but it is good to add on your CV to show interest in marketing and to show that you have the requisite knowledge to do the work in your internship. So first is certifications. More than certification, what really helps is internships. So you can get live projects along with your college. So it is a tough process, but you can get internships. A lot of batchmates did internships with college. You have a lot of internship portals such as Internshala, Let's Intern. So many of them you can find internships on LinkedIn, etc. So internships easily the best way, because if you make an impact for another company and in a professional setting, and there's an impact on the business of the company, there you have reduced costs, increased profits, increased efficiency, made an impact. Companies really want that and really want you to do that, the same thing for their company, right? So internships will really help. So whatever profile, if you're in college, maybe you can find something with college on a part-time basis. Otherwise, if you're currently preparing and not working, you can find some internship that is not very demanding, and you can all continue a CT prep with that. Apart from that, another thing you can boost your CV with is competition. So there are a bunch of competitions on Dare to Complete. They really help you firstly get more. There are specific case studies, there are specific problem statements. So you'll obviously gain a lot of insights and knowledge about that industry and that problem. So that is going to really help in terms of knowledge, but also in terms of CV lines. If you win a national competition, if you win at premier colleges, IIMs, SPJ and JBIMS, all these competitions, it's really going to help.
Harsh is also here. So Harsh, if you want to take up the same question, low academics and summers, basically anything on that sort.
See, if you have low academics, I mean, if you haven't performed well in the past, then make sure you're doing well in the present. And ways to do that is, of course, what Aditya has covered: internships, certifications, and some other live projects or study projects that you can do. So these are spikes basically. If you have in-depth knowledge in one particular thing, then at least for that specific role, you have better chances of making it big. So yeah, I don't want to dilute the topic anymore. I think Aditya has covered it brilliantly.
Yeah, and again, since Anay mentioned low acads, one thing for sure you need to do now is pay attention to acads, so that from this point on, your graph is upward and your academics are competitive. So, I mean, if your acads are low, you can't do anything about that, but at least you can explain to your interviewer that you did take efforts to improve that and, show a graph that is increasing.
Exactly. Like, just think about sitting there in front of the interviewer, and you have to explain why something has happened, right? All the questions about gap year, same answer. Like, you have to explain that to them. So how do you fill that up? Certifications, internships, you have to explain what else is going on. So you guys want to take that up? Same thing, same question on gap year. How do you fill up a gap year? I think Ankit would be the best for this. So when Ankit comes,
sorry, Anay. Yeah, see, at the end of the day, any interview is going to be about storytelling only. It's your story. So in that gap year, what did you do? If you haven't done anything, then you'll have to sort of make up something that can fill up those number of months. But if you have done something, then try to say it in such a way, try to put it forth in such a way that the interviewer is impressed. Yes, this person, though he was not working for a year, he or she was not working for a year, we have done something which is relevant to my organization, which is relevant to the role that I'm offering. If you can fit your story into that particular role, nothing like it.
I think when Ankit answers this, he'll be able to give his experience as well. He had taken a gap year and he worked in PwC during summers, so he did not have a problem. And it's not that big a deal as long as you fill it up with something. There has to be some extra. Just that I'm repeating the same points. I'll stop there. But yeah, we look at other questions.
Akshay is like, hey, Anay, love your voice. Anay, we also love your voice.
Thank you, Akshay. I think these people have got quite tired of it now, as in Harsh and I'm quite tired of my voice. बहुत सुन लिया last एक साल में. But thank you.
That's true.
Hey Vidisha, any specific prerequisites you'd like to highlight in order to grab top-notch internships from JB? I think it's mainly how you present yourself. You can obviously reach out to us. Since you're a part of TTB, you can reach out to us for specifics. But the main thing about this is how you present yourself to them. Just remember that when you're sitting for an interview, when you're applying to companies, you want them to understand why they should hire you. You want it to be just straight on their face that I say hire karna chahiye, because these are the reasons, and you have to give them those reasons. They should not be finding those reasons. Yaar, isse kare kyun? It should be karna chahiye. Like, it should be, we have to hire this guy. It should be like that. Give them the reason to do it. So that again is on your communications, how likable you are. Like, you don't have to be as stressed out in interviews. And in fact, for example, if you look at our own webinars from a year ago, you'll see us also fumbling a lot. And now we've improved a lot more than what we were at that time. And the only reason that has happened is because we kept doing this. We kept speaking. We kept, making an effort to talk to newer people, making an effort to reach a wider audience. That helps a lot. That's what the main communication thing is about. And if you're able to just gain more confidence, I think that makes a very big difference. And in JBIMS, outside JBIMS, there's nothing that will help you in JB. It's a general tip that if you're able to show them why they should hire you, it becomes easier to get hired. Anything to add, guys?
I think that sounds it.
No, I think we can go on to the next question. And yeah, Vidisha, you can just text us directly. We can get specific information and specific insights. So yeah, please feel free to text.
Next is a question. Can we get a good final placement if we don't get a good summer internship? Absolutely possible. There are about 8 to 10 months usually between your summer internship, after your summer internship ends and before the final placement begins. So in that period of time, it depends on how much effort you're putting in, how much extra things you're able to put on your resume. It could be committees, it could be offline projects, study projects, some research work, some startup that you want to sort of begin in that particular period of time. All these things are going to help you. So it is entirely dependent on what you do in the remaining period of time. If your summer internship was not really great, and then finals can definitely be much better and much different than your summers.
Yeah, and of course there are so many corporate competitions after summers. Some corporate competitions are open to all B schools, and most corporate competitions have PPI, PPO opportunities. So there are a lot of possibilities. Summers do not determine anything. Summers, at the end of the summers, it's the end of your first year of MBA. So there is a lot of time after that for you to enhance the CV and to show companies that you can really make an impact over there.
Okay. Aditya, there's a compliment for you too. If you can just go to the fire emojis that are there.
Yeah, Aditya is looking super cute today. जो भी likes or viewers are, they're only here for Aditya. Nobody else. Nobody else. But
Yeah, here for summers advice, Anay. But let's continue.
But guys, any questions about CET? This is not the place for it. Although we will answer them, this is not the right webinar. We'll be live again for all the questions. That'll be focused on CET. Right now, we'll stick to summers because I think that's an important part to answer, and we've not done that so far. So that's why we'll focus on this.
There's another question asking finance internship के लिए क्या important है? Anay, you want to take that up?
Yeah, so we're going to have a separate session on finance itself. Like we'll be having and Harsh will be a part of it as well if he wants to. But you can just stay tuned for that. It's more in depth. Like you'll come to know a lot more in depth कि क्या क्या होता है, what is important for the interview, और CV पे क्या होना चाहिए, खुद क्या पता होना चाहिए. We'll be explaining everything in that more in depth, like how we'll be doing for consulting, marketing, in each and every specialization out of these three. So stay tuned for that. All the questions on finance, we'll be answering them. There's a question on
CFA. Just before we move on to the next one, can you just highlight a few things that Ajay, who asked that question, Akash, who asked this question, can start today before the next webinar happens of finance? Just a few things that he should start at least.
I think mainly just what finance, for example, if you take JP Morgan, what they ask me in the interview is core technical knowledge. So if you start right now preparing how finance works, how financial account statements work, how accounts work, and how the entire thing is prepared, how do you calculate ratios, why one ratio is better. If you start that entire base if you start accumulating that knowledge, that's the best thing I can say. I think that's, in short, that will help you the most, because once this is done, competition, certifications, everything else will become easy.
Yeah, so basically the building blocks of finance, 3 financial statements, financial ratios, you can start studying on that. Though you are expected to know at least that for any finance internship.
Right. And there's a question on CFA about how I prepared for CFA. I studied on my own. I used Shreekanth books and I used YouTube IFT Irfanullah videos. That was all that I did. I had studied for around 4 months, I think. Total, it must have been more, but main work was in the last one that I put in. But yeah, it's possible to do it on your own. You don't have to refer to classes or buy things for it. This was L1. I'm not cleared things after that. I've not attempted things after that. So I'm only speaking for L1.
Then there's another question. Do non-finance persons should choose from MBA finance? I mean, is it doable to learn entire financial MBA in 2 years?
I think it's doable in a much shorter time than 2 years. So easily.
I mean, you're not learning accounting from scratch. I mean, you're just learning the managerial implications of accounting and then decision-making things which are related to finance. So it's very much doable. You don't need to learn core finance as such unless a specific role requires it.
What kind of previous experience helps in getting top marketing profiles? Things like how many years work experience. So we can take this not only in marketing, but in general, WorkX and summers. I think Aditya best to answer this. Harshan, I haven't really worked, but Aditya.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything specific because, in shortlists for many companies, I didn't see any particular pattern. So I don't think, like for consulting, it is usually, you can see that they want people with good ACADS. It's not a rule, but it is preferred. But for marketing, I don't see anything WorkX without WorkX. No specific experience required. It is also said that marketing firms prefer freshers, but that was not the case for me. I had 1 year of work, not much, but 1 year. So I think No specific rules, no specific notions. What you have to focus on if you want a marketing internship, whatever your experiences, life experiences are, fresher experience, just show how that is going to help you make something happen at that company. That is what you have to focus on. See, even if you have a lot of experience and whatever people tell you that, maybe if say people tell you that consulting is not for 5 years experience people, just an example, that is not true, obviously. Just if anyone tells you that, but you still want to get into consulting, what do you do, right? Like, you can't listen to them. So you have to focus on whatever you've done and how that can be a good fit for that company. Just focus on highlighting that. Don't think about what kind of candidate is best for that particular role according to rules. There are exceptions everywhere. So even if there's a rule, you can be that exception.
True, very true. Paridhi is asking what we can do right now before college in terms of soft skills and certification so that we can make our profile stronger. So what I would suggest is that if you don't have a specific predilection right now, if you're not sure which field you want to join, then try to make an all-round profile. You can do courses from finance, marketing, operations, and consulting cumulatively. If you want, you can go to my LinkedIn page. I had done a lot of courses during the COVID break before my college started, and I've listed all of them in my LinkedIn profile. So you can check that out. If there are a few things that you think will help you in building your profile, you can do those courses as well. Most of them were from Coursera.
Here, I think Harsh had gone for a very general CV and I had gone for a full finance-oriented CV. Like, I knew that even if I apply for marketing companies, no chance I'm getting a shortlist. Everything was finance. Everything was finance in my CV. So my entire outlook to that was that just go all out with knowledge. They'll appreciate it. That paid off for me. So that's what worked for me.
So it depends on what your criteria is. If you want to keep it open, then keep it open. If you are specific towards marketing or finance, then build it in that.
Yeah, and I'd also suggest by doing these courses, you're also learning what is in the specialization, and that kind of helps you understand what you want to do. And that's the main part. Like, honestly, leave summers out of it. Think why you're doing the MBA and which stream you want to take, and focus on that. So if you're not decided, at least do some research. Like, if you're not researched at all, go into it, do courses, and learn from there. That's the main part. And guys, LinkedIn is a great resource. Go through everyone's profiles. Like, you can go through all our profiles. You'll come to know a lot of what we've done and what people put everything out there. So go through seniors profiles. Anybody, it doesn't have to be JBIMS. Anyone from IIMs, anybody, just go through their profiles. It'll help you a lot.
Okay. Akash really loves your voice. He's asking how do I improve my voice?
Thank you, Akash.
उसके लिए special course लगता है. You have to go to IT US. It's a very special course. Only the smartest of the people are allowed inside.
Yes, guys. It's the most important course. No one at JBIMS has been able to, like, that's the best course. No course can compete against IT US.
IT US. He's coming back.
Anay is the Iron Man. Nice. Someone called you Iron Man, Anay.
Did you join any committees? Does joining a committee enhance your resume? It surely does. And more than that, it gives you a lot of exposure, a lot of experiences in managing people, managing events, and working in a team. So I think that sort of experience is fantastic. So Aditya and I had joined a committee. Anay did not join. Anay can give his opinion also.
Not an opinion as such. I think for me, it was more of just time management. I just enrolled for CFA, so I didn't want to join too many committees, and I wanted to focus on this. It was a personal thing. I mean, it's up to you if you guys want to be a part of committees. I'm not like Harsh and Aditya will be able to answer this part better about whether it improves the CV or not. If your CV already has a lot of stuff, it wouldn't, like, that's what you have to think why that's going to help you in the CV when the HR or the VP or the president is sitting in front of you. How would you answer that one line to them? That's it. That kind of.
Yeah, so it depends on you. There are learnings in committees as well. You will get to learn, as Harsh said, teamwork, leadership, managing events, managing people. Those are soft skills that are transferable everywhere, will be useful everywhere. But if you have other commitments, then maybe, if you can't give time to a committee, then that is also fine. I mean, you can choose your path. It is not that being in a committee is required to get a good internship or nothing like that. So that we can say for sure. Whatever your inclination is, you do that.
Aditya, that actually reminds me, if you want to go over the CV pointers that we're going to talk about, since we're talking about this part.
Yeah, so I think basic preparation that is required for summers can be broken down. Firstly, CV. Assuming you've made a CV, all the basic hygiene checks, you've tried to use power verbs, made it really well. Assuming a CV is ready, you have to know each and every line of your CV really well. So you have to assume the interviewer can ask you about any line, and you should be able to speak at least a minute on it about what the story is behind that line. If I say that I manage XYZ something, I have to say what was the situation, what approach did I take to manage it, then what was the result, etc. So it's basically broken down into the framework which is situation, target, action, and result, STAR framework. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the framework. But try to break every line and every experience into that. What was the situation? What was the target? What was your action? And what was the result? So try to apply this in every experience of your CV or every line of your CV and try to make a story out of it. Secondly, you have HR answers. So apart from your CV, obviously, mostly interviews start with tell me about yourself. You have to have a very tight and a very concise tell me about yourself that portrays your strengths. And obviously, strengths, weaknesses, try to keep it a little dynamic depending on the company and the role, because one weakness might work at one place but might not work at some other place. So all these questions are the second part, HR questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why should we hire you? Why are you a good fit for this role? Why marketing? Why finance? Why consulting? All this needs to be done. Then you have current affairs and GK preparation, because some companies might have GDs. But in an interview, anyone can ask you anything that is happening in the country. Anyone can ask you about the budget, no matter if you're in finance, marketing, consulting, doesn't matter. You should know basics, what is happening, how, because there is an implication on the business for sure, even though it's the budget and, finance specialization guys might understand it more, but you have to know what is the impact of it on the FMCG business or consulting business or anything. So that you need to know. Current affairs, GK, you should know basics of what is happening. And again, after this, you have specific domain-specific knowledge that you need to have. Marketing, company marketing concepts, you need to know basics. As Anay also mentioned, finance concept, you need to know financial statements, financial ratios. And for consulting, instead of domain-specific knowledge, you'll have to do guesstimates and case studies. So we'll cover that in detail of how we studied guesstimates and case studies, and even try to explain it and solve some examples also. But this is the basic overview of how you can break your preparation. These are the 4 parts that are CV, HR, current affairs, and domain specific. So try to break down your preparation to these 4, cover these 4, and then you should be prepared.
That's actually a very thorough answer. Thanks for that. But there's a question here for an individual who belongs to the non-tech background and is looking forward to a career in finance. Would you recommend finance-based softwares like SAP, FICO, etc.? I think when it comes to finance, mainly Bloomberg is what is used. Even if supposing you're looking at equities or any kind of research work, Bloomberg terminals are what are used. So if you can do a course on that, that would be more beneficial. SAP on the other hand is more related to computers, like from what I've understood at least. I've not seen it being used as of now. So Bloomberg would be what I'd suggest to do as of now. But again, specifics and everything, we'll take it on the finance day. But
yeah, actually, even I've not heard of SAP FICO, so maybe we can give it a read and recommend if it's good to read or good to study or not. But yeah, not much information about SAP FICO at this moment.
From what I know, SAP is the analytics arm for it's not only finance, like you can use it in any field. So that becomes more of a computer science thing than a finance thing. Finance companies do use it, but that's for a different reason. But when you're looking at finance profiles, it's Bloomberg. Keep that in mind. Any market related thing is Bloomberg. Bloomberg or Reuters. I think Thomas Reuters, that's what it used to be called. I forgot what it's Refinitiv. Refinitiv is what it is called now. Those are the two softwares that people use now.
So there are a couple of questions for me. So one is, which certificates have I done? So I've added my LinkedIn profile in the chat, so you can go through the entire list of certificates. And second is, how did I get into PwC Management Consulting? So that will cover in depth in the consulting video, but it was more of consulting case prep and preparing the answers or my stories for whatever I had written in my CV, and in general HR questions that we have.
Guys, please don't spam the chat. It becomes tougher to read questions, in fact. And because it's spammed so much, we might not answer it. So please don't spam it again and again 10 times. We will read.
It's going to be Mumbai Indians that will win this year.
Right.
For sure.
Hopefully, we get to see a Mumbai Indians match. The stadium is right next to JB. So that if you're a cricket fan, then just another motivation.
There's a question, what type of profile is required for FMCG? And the best person to answer is actually not on call right now. Vidhan would be the best. But when we'll keep the session in a day or two, you can ask him this question. He'll explain very nicely. And Aditya, he was in an FMCG company as well, so you can give your...
Yeah, as I answered before, there is no best profile. And there is no point giving a best profile. I mean, the best profile would be what? ACADS, 100%, 10 CGPA, internships at FMCG, but obviously that doesn't happen. And if you want to get into FMCG, you have to prove anyhow that your profile is the best profile and the best candidate is you who will do that work. So don't just forget about what is the ideal profile, ideal candidate. You have to pitch yourself as the ideal candidate. And what we are going to cover in the session is how you can do that best and how we've done it in the past.
Also, one more thing that you need to keep in mind about, and just in general, is that when you're doing certifications and everything, remember that certifications in 2021 and 2022 will not help you stand out from others. It'll give you knowledge, but everybody is doing certifications as of now. Like that has become a very common thing. So do it to gain knowledge, but remember that an internship is going to help you a lot more. So when you're planning what you're going to do ahead, also, if you have time right now, look for internships. Look for places where you can work. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, but it'll be a lot more impactful than one line on a certification. So just keep that one thing in mind. Because everyone knows how certifications are done. Online, 10 बार मैंने MC की mark कर ली है, कभी तो right आने वाला है, certificate मिलेगा मुझे 100% के साथ.
100%.
So that's why that number also doesn't matter a lot. Everyone has it.
Yeah.
So the idea is that whenever someone asks you a question on that certification, you should be able to give such an answer that वो impress हो जाए, and then they wouldn't ask you any question on any other certification because they would know that you have done them diligently. So if that's your aim, then it's good. Otherwise, if you're just adding it for your CV, and if someone asks you a question and not able to answer, then you're gone. Then they will have a reason to not pick you, because if you have written something in your CV and you have sort of done the course, maybe a 20-hour course or something, and you're still not able to answer, it does not really leave a good impression.
Yeah, as I said earlier, every line of your CV, 1 minute answer if anyone asks about anything. Anyone asks about a certificate, you have to tell them what all you studied, what all was covered. And then, you can start a discussion and you can really impress the interviewer if you take him in that direction, him or her. But yeah, whatever you put on your CV, you need to know it very thoroughly. At least 1 line, 1 minute you have to speak on. And as Anay said, certifications, it is made more accessible now. So a lot more people can do them. So if you want to give yourself the edge, then internships as competitions. Competitions, clearly you're showing the interviewer that you're better than X number of candidates. And internships are a really good way to obviously understand businesses firsthand. So try for internships. It's obviously not very easy and it is rigorous. You'll have to apply to 10 places. You might get an interview from one, but continue applying if you have the time. It will definitely help.
Path is saying he's 21 and is pursuing CFA, FRM and CET, and does it matter if he has no experience? No, it does not matter. Anay and I both are freshers. We did not even do CFA and FRM before applying for JBIMS. And I think we are in a good position, so you will be in an even better position.
Right. In fact, another one was 21 was Shashwat, and he interned at Axis Bank, which is a really good internship. So lots of people who make it, that's what you'll find examples, as Aditya mentioned, you'll find a lot of examples of people who do it. But what was needed was not their profile, it was how they showed it on that day and how they presented that to the panel and how everything happened after that. So it's time to forget past. Abhi kya hai aur aage kya karna hai, wo socho.
हाँ, if CFA नहीं है तो चलता है, but अभी if you can do it before your summers, that will definitely help. So आगे क्या करना है वो उसमें just focus on that, and finance internships, obviously CFA or FRM will help.
So there is a question at the end. How much is CV shortlisting taken into consideration for a few companies, and what is the bare minimum? So the thing is, I think there is a 60% mark which usually companies see, but it's not a hard and fast rule. But what do you think, Aditya? Is it 60% also? That
I have not, at least I don't think there's a rule.
Guys, the thing about these shortlists is that it is so different for each and every company and every role that you cannot pinpoint who gets it and who doesn't.
Yeah, and we can't say, I mean, we are just saying from a general idea, but we've seen our friends getting shortlisted and we didn't see what is the lowest percentage at what a person got a shortlist. So it's not that easy. It's just general idea se hum log bol rahe jo bhi. But we've not seen any rules as such, and that is what we're trying to tell you guys again and again. There is no ideal CV. There is no. I mean, some companies can come with 60% and 10 minimum cutoff. So, ठीक है, you can't do anything about that. वो गया तो गया. But there'll be other companies. There'll be that same company's competitor who might not have that criteria. So it varies a lot, and I think it varies year by year also. So don't focus on that. Basically, don't focus on your past.
All the questions about our experiences in summer internships, we'll have a separate entire thing about that, specifically about how the experience works. That's and a lot of it is confidential. So that's why we have to, plan out what we're going to say, because we cannot leak a lot of the things that we've done there. But that's why we'll just prepare for that a little bit better. We'll speak, but yeah, you'll have to think about that a little.
So Shah, one rapid fire. Okay. Just answer blindly, okay, without even thinking. What do you think is more important? Stipend, role, or brand? Answers.
Brand.
Not role?
I think brand matters a lot in your future.
Role, I mean, there is some leeway, I think. But if you're you don't enjoy that role at all, then obviously you should not do that just because of the brand. But in that brand, I would say I would do multiple roles. I would be okay with 3-4 roles that they're offering. Not all roles, but at least. But yeah, I think brand does attract attention a lot when, interviewer or anyone who's shortlisting your CV has 15 seconds or 20 seconds to go through your CV. Brand really pops out. So
20 seconds that he's mentioning is also an upper limit kind of thing. They don't spend that long usually. They just go through it. If the big name makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, but Harsh, what's your answer? We didn't get
I would have picked role and brand both. I mean, role is equally
definitely.
I mean, we thought you to pick one.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would say role is also equally important. But yeah, of course, brand definitely plays a big role. So good role, good brand. That's what you want.
Correct.
And in the long term, you want a good stipend or a good pay also. But initially, I think if you are getting a lower stipend, it shouldn't be an issue if it's a very good brand and a very good role.
And again, that's the biggest advantage, where you're not worried about that, because if you're paying 6 lakhs for an MBA education for 2 years, the ROI is anyway off the charts. So,
don't worry about stipend for summers at least that much, because it's just for 2 months. So there is not, obviously, when in your final placements, you have to look at the compensation, because that will determine your career path only. But I think summers there is a little leeway to try, which brings me to a very interesting question by Sharayu, and I'll take that up. If companies are coming to hire interns in 1 month after joining the college, तो कैसे decide करें कि कौन से company को apply करें, because we don't know many things yet. So guys, your experiences.
Harsh, you want to go first? Or?
I'm just reading it again.
Another way of saying सुन नहीं रहा था मैं वापस देखना पड़ेगा.
No, so what I would suggest is that during summers at least, I was very open to a lot of roles because I'm coming from an engineering background and I'm equally interested in all parts of business. My intention is कि मुझे business सीखना है. अश्नीर बोलते हैं मुझे धंधा सीखना है. I want to learn about business. I was fine at that stage with any sort of role. It could be finance, it could be marketing. So I was not really concerned कि किसके लिए apply करूँ या किसके लिए नहीं करूँ. So again, and that's why I sort of chose management consulting because it's about strategy, it's about all sorts of things. But otherwise, my suggestion is that only during summers, don't be really picky because you never know. I mean, if you have some background and then you are trying to shoot for a particular direction, then it's fine. For me, my CV bhi bahut generalized tha. That's why I'm looking for general roles only.
Yeah.
But
So
Anay was different. He was sort of aiming for a finance profile. So he searched, I remember he had researched so much about all the finance companies that come on campus. So he knew stuff about all these companies. That is another way to look at it.
Yeah, so I think if you are indecisive and if you don't know what to do, then just be open to everything. So Anay wouldn't have asked this question because he knew he wanted to get into finance. So even I didn't know. Even I, like hers, applied to everything. I got into FMCG sales and marketing, and then in my second year, I took finance as my specialization because I tried it out and I thought that I am not a good fit for this role, or I don't see myself working this role. So it is okay to experiment in summer internships. Is my point. If you don't know what to do, be open to everything, apply to everything. Then role doesn't matter to you. Focus on the brand more. Focus on other things more.
I mean, people experiment after joining companies after an MBA in 2-3 years. अभी तो summer internship है यहाँ पे करो जो करना है. It's not that thing. For me, it was fixed though. I wanted to do finance. That was something that I had decided that I want to do this only. That was my reason for doing an MBA, in fact. Like my reason for an MBA was not business, it was finance and business. वहाँ पे जाना है, वो line में जाना है फिर. There's another question, Piyush. Is it possible to manage CFA L1 May 2022 with CET prep? So May 22 is pretty close. So I would suggest if you are preparing, then you need to spend a couple of hours from like properly studying. You should be done with your portion. See, I did 40% of the syllabus in the last 1 month. So don't be in my situation. You have to try to finish almost everything a month before the exam. So right now you definitely need to work as hard as possible. But CET prep ke saath hoga, and Piyush, I think I've seen your name in the TTP course again. So you can reach out on chat whenever you have any doubts about CFA as well. But हो सकता है like MBA के साथ कर रहे हो तो CET के साथ तो हो ही जाएगा. Because once you're done with CET basics, it's just taking marks. So again, since it's a very specific question, reach out. I'll answer.
Omkar Moria is asking if TTV goes to JBIMS for summer placements.
That is a very flattering question, firstly. So if you think that TTV goes to JB for summers, then thanks, firstly, but we don't go.
By the way, Omkar is a friend.
Felt like it, yeah. Let's just see if there are any other questions. If not, we'll probably.
Can anyone switch into finance after mechanical engineering? Yes, you can. In fact, a lot of people do that only. You can either switch to marketing. Anay is placed in a very awkward position.
Yeah.
But yeah, people switch from mechanical engineering to finance, even marketing, even operations. So that is absolutely fine. There's another question. 10th, 12th, and grad is 966. Completed engineering 5 years before 5 years in 2018 because of lots of backlogs and wasted 4 years after engineering in bank. If I get into JBIMS in 2022, what are the chances of getting into consulting? See, the shortlists are very random. I cannot assure you about any shortlist, but if you work on your communication skills, your HR answers, and the things that you have written in a CV, along with case discussions, if you do these 4 things well, then you have good chances of getting into consulting. Shortlist I cannot really say because it depends on the company if they pick you up or not.
But the point is that only, if you want to get into consulting, JB is just going to help you. So I mean JB or any premier college. So if you are preparing for MBA exams, and you have this particular profile and you really want to get into consulting, so your best bet of getting into consulting companies is going to the top colleges. It's only going to add. If it doesn't happen there also, then you can work in an industry, get particular industry expertise wherever you get placed after your MBA, and then try to switch into consulting. So, whatever has happened. And if you really want to get into consulting, it is possible. The path will be different than other people, but you can still get into consulting.
Omkar is again writing. Omkar, you only answer that question, okay? You can answer that one.
Please tell me how shortlist happens for summers. So no idea. I mean, companies have their own criteria. Don't know what HR and managers look at. But no clue of how shortlisting happens. Maybe 2-3 years down when we join our companies and when we shortlist people, we can add on. But now no insight on that.
Beastman, he's selected in Accenture and PwC, but he's interested in software development. Should I join Accenture? Brother, I think this is not the right webinar in which we can give you an answer for that. We are speaking more about MBA related things.
Yeah, but depends on what you want to do, depends on the role that the firms are offering. In just 2 brand names, we cannot decide anything. But yeah, if equally big companies, so I would look at role and stipend to compare.
Akshat is asking that he has got lower marks in 10th, 12th and grad, but if he scores 19.97 in CET, will he get good colleges like JBIMS? Yes, JBIMS looks at only CET as of now. If there's an update, we don't know, but till now it has been only the score of
So
CET.
there is a minimum criteria for 12, so we can check and get back to you. We are also planning to make a video on the admission process and criteria of JBIMS. There is a minimum criteria, so we can check and get back to you. I don't know how much that is, maybe 40 or 50. I'm not sure right now. But Akshat, we will get back to you on this.
Okay, so any other questions that you can see, Aditya?
So no other questions, guys. So I mean, 86 viewers are there right now. Again, we are planning to make domain-specific videos for our summers, FMCG, consulting, and finance.
There are 86 viewers and there are only 37 likes. Please drop a like. It helps us also reach to more audience and sort of keep more relevant webinars for CET preparing public. Please drop a like.
Right, but please do that firstly, as I said. It really helps us, and people who need this help and need some advice can get it. It's free, of course. So please like it. But we are planning domain-specific sessions for consulting, FMCG, finance for your summer internships. Do let us know what all you want to cover in them. If you don't have questions, whatever you want to be discussed can be done.
Okay, and in case there are some specific things that you want us to sort of cover during those consulting, finance, marketing, operations, videos that we create for summer internship, then please list them down in the comments of this particular video, because before making that clip, we'll look at the comments over here and we'll try to include all of those things over there. So,
yeah, comments, guys, please. So not in live chat, after the stream is ended, please put your whatever you need. We'll try to cover, we'll try to guide you all the best way we can. So after the video ends, put it in the comments. We'll check the comments and we'll make the session accordingly.
Okay, so I think let's call it a day for the 3rd of February 2022. Thanks all for tuning in and keep hustling. Hopefully you are preparing continuously and consistently for cracking CET. So best of luck and we'll see you in some other video. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining. Good night.